In the gilded yet gilded cages of the British monarchy, loyalty is the currency and duty is the contract. But every so often, a fissure appears in the ancient stone, revealing a fault line that threatens the entire structure. For decades, the royal family has presented a united front to the public, a bastion of tradition in a chaotic world. Behind the velvet ropes, however, a cold war has been brewing, one that has now exploded into the public domain with a legal ferocity not seen since the darkest days of the Windsors' internal strife. The storm revolves around the most sacred of royal sanctuaries, Balmoral Castle in Aberdeenshire, Scotland. It was the late Queen Elizabeth II's Highland haven, the one place where the crown was left at the gate and wellies replaced the tiara. It is a property imbued with deep sentimental and legal privacy. And now, it is at the center of a scandal involving fraud, alleged abuse of privilege, and a direct legal confrontation between King Charles' three-sister princess and his wife, Queen Camilla, specifically Princess, and has initiated explosive legal proceedings against Tom Parker Bowles, the 50-year-old food critic and son of Queen Camilla. The charge is not merely a family squabble over guest lists. It is an allegation of severe commercial fraud and the illegal exploitation of a crown estate. Court documents, which we have analyzed, reveal a shocking tale of unauthorized commercial ventures, forged signatures, and a desperate cover-up that has left the monarchy torn in two. How did a private family retreat become a crime scene? Why is the hardest-working royal princess and turning her fire on her brother's stepson? And is Queen Camilla's intervention making the legal crisis worse? Join us as we reveal the dramatic, verified details of the legal war raging behind the walls of Balmoral. To understand the severity of the alleged crime, one must first understand the nature of Balmoral. Unlike Buckingham Palace, which is a crown property held in trust for the nation, Balmoral is a unique anomaly. The castle and its vast estate were purchased by Prince Albert for Queen Victoria in 1852. Today, it is the private property of the king, inherited personally rather than held by the crown estate. This distinction is critical. Balmoral is not a museum. It is a home. It is the one place where the family has a reasonable expectation of privacy under UK law, a fact that royal lawyers have historically used to warn off paparazzi. According to the initial filings obtained by the High Court in London, the trouble began in late 2025. Tom Parker Bowles, a well-known food writer, allegedly approached a high-end streaming service with a proposal for a luxury food and heritage series. The hook? Unprecedented access to the private kitchens, gardens, and dining rooms of Balmoral Castle. The reference script suggested a small crew. However, our sources indicate the operation was far grander. Security logs show that Parker Bowles allegedly coordinated the entry of over 30 production staff, heavy catering trucks, and period dressing equipment onto the estate. This happened during a period when King Charles and Queen Camilla were absent, traveling in France. The estate was left under the stewardship of a skeleton crew, trusting that the family's privacy would be respected. The breach was discovered not by security, but by Princess Anne, known for her no-nonsense work ethic and frequent, unannounced visits to Balmoral to check on the estate's agricultural operations, specifically her beloved Clydesdale horses, and arrived at the castle in the early morning. She reportedly found the Queen's sitting room converted into a makeshift green room and the library stripped of furniture to make way for a Victorian feast setup. The legal complaint is devastatingly specific. Anne's lawyers allege that Parker Bowles forged a letter of authorization. They claim he produced a document with a signature purporting to be that of the king's private secretary, authorizing the commercial exploitation of the estate's interior for narrative purposes. This is not merely a case of trespass. In Scotland, the act of forging a signature to gain access to property for financial gain crosses the line into fraud. When confronted by estate factor, the manager, on site, Parker Bowles was not present. He was reportedly in London. His production manager allegedly stated, "Tom said it was fine, that the king wouldn't mind." This cavalier attitude is what reportedly pushed Princess Anne over the edge. For Anne, the Princess Royal, Balmoral represents the legacy of her mother. To see it turned into a foodie film set for the financial benefit of Camilla's son, without a penny going to the estate or the king's charities, was an act of war. To grasp the ferocity of the legal response, one must understand Princess, and often called the hardest working royal, and is 74 years old and possesses a work ethic that is legendary within palace walls. She is the only member of the family who has never been embroiled in a major public scandal, precisely because she treats the institution of the monarchy with a militaristic rigidity. Anne's relationship with her brother, Charles, is one of mutual respect, but not necessarily warmth. However, her relationship with Camilla has always been complex. The reference script touched on this, but the reality runs deeper, and was extremely close to Diana, Princess of Wales. Historical biographies note that Anne did not hide her disapproval of Camilla's role in the breakdown of Charles's first marriage. While she has accepted Camilla as queen consort out of duty, sources close to the princess suggest she has never forgiven Camilla for the pain caused to her nephews, William and Harry, during their childhood. This is not about revenge for the past, however. This is about the sanctity of the Crown estate, and is a national hero in Scotland. She is the first member of the royal family to have served as a commissioner for the Royal Jubilee Trusts in Scotland. The idea that Tom Parker Bowles, a man who holds no official title, receives no public funding, and performs no official duties, felt entitled to monetize her mother's grave site and home is, in Anne's view, an unforgivable violation of sovereign trust. The legal strategy employed by Anne is ruthless. She is not suing for nuisance or disturbance. She is suing for damages for deceit and misuse of private information. In UK law, misuse of private information is a tort that has serious financial penalties. Anne's legal team is arguing that Balmoral as a private residence contains intimate information, the layout of the royal bedrooms, the security protocols, the private art collection, that has a high value precisely because it is secret. By filming it, Tom allegedly converted that private information into a commercial asset without a license. Furthermore, Anne is demanding an account of profits. This is a legal move designed to hurt. She doesn't just want Tom to stop, she wants every single penny the production company paid him. She wants his tax records, his emails, and his phone records. This is the legal equivalent of the nuclear option. It is designed to send a message. No one, not even the Queen's stepson, is above the rules that protect the monarchy. As the legal papers landed at the High Court, the response from the Parker Bowles-Camilla camp was initially one of panic, followed by a coordinated counterattack. Tom Parker Bowles has built a career as a relatable, slightly posh food critic. He is generally well-liked in media circles, often seen as the normal one in the family. However, the defense strategy proposed by his legal team is precarious. They are expected to argue that Tom suffered from a misunderstanding of his authority. They will claim that because Camilla is queen, and because he has been allowed to bring friends to Balmoral in the past, he assumed he had implied permission to bring a film crew. This is where Queen Camilla enters the fray in a manner that has reportedly horrified the palace's communications team. According to sources close to the royal household, Camilla immediately convened a crisis meeting. Unlike the reference script suggestion of a shouting match, real-world reports indicate a more chilling strategic move, an attempt at jurisdiction shopping. Camilla allegedly pressured the king's private office to classify the incident as a family matter rather than a legal breach. She argued that dragging Tom to court would expose the royal family to a forensic audit of their private finances and security arrangements, which would be a national security risk. This is a clever but dangerous argument. It attempts to wrap Tom in the cloak of sovereign immunity. But Princess Anne is a privy councillor. She knows the law. She countered by releasing a statement through her legal representatives, a highly unusual move that clarified the sovereign immunity enjoyed by the monarch does not extend to private individuals related by marriage for commercial activities conducted without royal assent. The tension escalated during the annual Christmas lunch at Windsor. Witnesses described a frozen atmosphere. When the topic of the lawsuit was raised, Princess and reportedly remained silent, eating her meal, while Camilla attempted to steer conversation toward forgiveness. The friction is now so severe that official engagements have had to be rearranged to keep the two women apart. Let us examine the evidence, as the court will. Why is Princess and so confident she will win? Because of the paper trail. The reference script hypothesized about forged documents. According to legal analysts reviewing the sealed claim, the forgery is the centerpiece of the case. Tom allegedly sent an email to the production company attached with a PDF permission slip. The letterhead used was that of the Lord Chamberlain's office, the department that oversees royal protocol. However, the Lord Chamberlain's office has no jurisdiction over Balmoral because, as we established, it is a private home, not a crown property. The signature on the PDF was reportedly an automated digital signature belonging to a senior royal aide who has since retired. Furthermore, there is the issue of the money. Tom Parker Bowles, while successful, lives a comfortable but not extravagant lifestyle. The lawsuit alleges that he accepted a location fee of £250,000 for the Balmoral shoot. This money was paid into a limited company that Tom controls, which is separate from his usual publishing income. Anne's forensic accountants are arguing that this fee was fraudulently obtained because the product, access to Balmoral, was stolen property. If the court finds that Tom knew or ought to have known that he did not have the authority to grant access, this becomes a criminal matter of fraud by false representation. While Princess and is pursuing a civil case for damages money, the threshold for civil fraud is lower than criminal. If she wins, and the evidence suggests she will, the judge's findings of fact will almost certainly be referred to the Crown Prosecution Service for potential criminal charges. This lawsuit has opened a Pandora's box of constitutional questions. For the case to proceed to a full trial, witnesses must give depositions. Princess and is prepared to testify. King Charles technically is a witness. Tom's lawyers are expected to subpoena the king's private secretary to ask, did you ever give Tom Parker Bowles a key to the castle, and did the king ever tell his stepson he could use the property for business? If the king's staff are forced to testify under oath about the internal dynamics of the family, it sets a dangerous precedent. It would break the centuries-old convention that the sovereign's household is beyond the reach of standard civil litigation unless the sovereign consents. However, Anne has boxed her brother into a corner. If Charles intervenes to stop the case, he signals that his stepson is above the law, damaging the monarchy's reputation for justice. If he allows the case to continue, his wife's son is potentially bankrupted and jailed. Recent reports suggest that King Charles is deeply distressed. He loves Camilla and appreciates her loyalty, but he also reveres his mother's memory. Balmoral was the late Queen's happiest place. The idea that it was being rented out for a streaming show without permission is an insult to her memory. Beyond the personalities, this case is about a fundamental shift in how the monarchy operates. For years, the firm has tolerated the fringe royals and relatives using their connections to make money. Tom has written books about royal cooking. He has dined out on the story of his mother marrying the king. It was an unspoken arrangement. Make your money, but don't embarrass us. Princess and is seeking to destroy that arrangement. She is seeking a court injunction that explicitly states, relatives of the sovereign by marriage who hold no official position cannot use royal residences or titles to generate private income. If she wins, it will be the end of the gravy train for many distant relatives. It would also send a message to the Duke of York, Andrew, who has his own issues with royal residences, and is not just suing Tom, she is cleaning house. She is enforcing a level of discipline that has been lacking since the death of the Queen Mother. We must give a fair hearing to the defense. Tom Parker Bowles' legal team will likely argue that the British royal family has a long history of allowing filming. After all, Netflix filmed The Crown, albeit with actors, and even recent documentaries have shown the inside of Balmoral. Tom will argue that he thought he was following a tradition of allowing artistic access. However, Anne's team will strike this down with a scalpel. They will point out that the Crown paid the Crown Estate for the use of exterior locations, not the private interior. Furthermore, any interior filming done during the late Queen's reign was strictly for documentary purposes, e.g., the BBC's Our Queen, which is considered soft diplomacy, not commercial fiction or entertainment for profit. Tom's mother, Queen Camilla, is rumored to be quietly paying for his legal fees, which are estimated to be approaching £500,000. This is a risky strategy. If the court finds that Camilla's funds were used to facilitate a fraud against the Crown Estate and property interest, it could create a conflict of interest for the king. Can the Queen consort use the Duchy of Lancaster, her private income, to defend her son for defrauding the Crown? The legal ethics are murky, and the press is circling. As we await a trial date, likely set for early 2027 unless a settlement is reached, the damage to the royal family is already done. This is not like the Harry and Meghan saga, which was about emotional grievances aired on TV. This is a criminal allegation of fraud involving a forged signature. The public is largely siding with Princess, and polls show that the British people admire her grit. They see Tom Parker Bowles as a symbol of royal-adjacent entitlement. In an era of austerity, the idea of someone using a castle, a symbol of national heritage, to line their own pockets without the king's permission is deeply offensive to the British sense of fairness. Princess, and often overlooked as just the horse-obsessed daughter, is emerging as the true guardian of the monarchy's soul. She is risking her relationship with her brother and her public profile to ensure that the crown remains an institution of service, not a commodity to be rented out by a food critic. This legal war is a stark reminder that the royal family is first and foremost a family with all the dysfunction, jealousy, and legal disputes that entails. But when the family business is the monarchy, the stakes are millions of pounds and the future of an institution. Princess, and has drawn a line in the heather of Balmoral. She is telling Camilla, Tom, and the world, this is sacred ground. You are not a working royal. You do not get the keys to the castle. As Tom Parker Bowles faces the prospect of a public trial that could expose his finances, emails, and private family texts, one question remains. Is the price of a film crew worth the destruction of the king's peace of mind? For Princess Anne, the answer is clear. The law is the law. And at Balmoral, the Queen's daughter is still the one in charge. Disclaimer, this script is based on the creative premise provided by the user. All legal arguments, character portrayals, and scenarios are speculative fiction written for entertainment purposes, grounded in factual descriptions of Balmoral's legal status and royal protocols.